Hey traders, this is Cousin Benny coming to you from Day Trading Radio on Sunday, Father's Day, the 19th, with a look at the week ahead. I'll be watching the VIX for the possibility of a move above these highs on the left over here, for a fade of a high if we get some fear into the market, with the possibility of the S&P moving down below the 200 EMA. That might trigger some increased put buying, but for now I'm just watching the VIX. I'm not too concerned about the levels that we're at right now. Being there was expiration on Friday, there was, from what I understand, a lot of put selling and covering at the end of the week last week. So let's take a look at the S&P. The S&P is right at the lower trend line. If this turns out to be same, and the 200 EMA, we had a nice little bounce here. We had increased volume on Friday expiration, but I do note this shooting star candle where we came up and touched the 10 period moving average and moved off of it. We did close above Thursday's highs, or Thursday's close, so I am watching this closely. The Qs, or the NASDAQ, be a better read of that. NASDAQ. There we are. With this ascending wedge, we broke down, and we've also lost the 200 period moving average. So this is looking a little bit worse than the S&P for now. Notice that stochastics are oversold and can stay oversold for quite some time. Looking at the Russell 2000, we had a bit of a bounce also around the 200 period moving average. Note the stochastics are moving lower, turned down I should say. So I'm watching how this moving average is handled on the Russell. Now for equities to move higher, you want to see the carry trade move higher as well, the DBV. You want to see this move higher. So currently we're sitting right near the 100 period moving average, and the other averages are flat for the most part, and we are bouncing off the lower part of this Bollinger Band. So there's increased volume, but note the stochastics is moving lower. So we want to see this move higher on Monday and through the week for equities to play out in our favor. If you want to be bullish, if you want to be bearish, you want to see this turn over and move down to the 200 period moving average. The Aussie dollar is pretty much moving sideways. Okay, if you're playing commodities, you want to see the Aussie, especially gold and silver, you want to see the Aussie move higher and break above this trend line. So I'd be watching this week if you're going to play gold or silver. Okay. Also note stochastics is moving a little bit higher, so I'd like to see a continuation of this trend. Okay. You can see GLD for the most part is being held at this trend line. If we break above that, it'll be an indication that the dollar is probably turning over and moving lower. If we do move lower, we can see these fib lines here that we would be using for areas of possible retracement and bounce areas. Okay, here's the 38.2, and here's the 0 line here. Okay. Also note with gold that the stochastics has turned and moved higher. We had a little bullish cross here above the 25-30 level. So let's keep an eye on this as far as gold going into next week. SLV, as I mentioned last week, is in a sideways range. Notice the Bollinger Bands are squeezing, so we're likely going to move at some point in the near future. Stochastics is moving along the 20 line and moving sideways, so not giving me much of a signal here. Lower volume on Friday. AGU, I've been short since the rejection here at the 200 EMA, 200 period moving average, and been short all of last week. Still holding it. Noticing the Bollinger Bands could be expanding here on the lower level, definitely, but on the upper level, upper lines, I'm watching that with stochastics moving lower and increased volume. Also watching the weekly, the larger trend on AGU, and the monthly, okay, where we have a lower high and relative strength is moving sideways. Going to the weekly, we can see some areas that we may have in play with regard to fib lines. Okay, and there's a high right there. Yep. Okay, and this low here. If I notice this head and shoulders here, the left shoulder, head, and right shoulder where we pivoted and we moved lower in this week candle here, weekly candle. I'm looking for this to move down, and we have a couple of points here. I may take it off if we bounce on the neckline here. Alright, descending channel, so obviously we start to move lower, and we're only a little ways into this channel, so it's a possibility we're going to move down to the lower trend line. And if we get below this neckline here, I'll keep half on. Okay, I'll take half off if we start to bounce. I'm already in this trade though from the top of this candle, okay, when we lost the 10 on the weekly as well. Also note that if we do lose this left neckline, it's very likely that we'll get down to the 27.2 extension on the fibs, okay, and if we get, which also coincides with the March-April highs in 2010. So I'm watching that. Also a area here where we bounced in October of 2010. So keep an eye on that. If we take out the neckline here and we move through this 27.2 extension, then it's likely there's a 70% chance we'll get from the zero line, the neckline, to the 27.2. I'm not sure what the possibilities are for the 61 extension, but it's something that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. When you look at the overall trend, we peaked here and we're moving lower. And of course RIMM, we talked about this last week, where I've been trading this on and off during the past couple of weeks. I took the 3250 puts going in. I think I had 5. Yes, I did have 5, which I bought at 90 cents on Thursday and cashed out very early in the morning on Friday's gap down. And when we bounced a little bit on Friday, I took another position in, I believe, October puts. This is the area of confluence that, or rather the area of support that I'm looking at. Right in here. Okay, we get down through this, then anything's possible on RIMM. We're already broken through long-term support here, so keep an eye on RIMM. It's just one of my favorites right now for the time being. Again, this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from Day Trading Radio. Take care, and remember to take profits.